Okay, so recording begin. And hello to the live viewer out there. We're going to go ahead and get started here. Singular viewer activate. Okay, everything's working. Good. So the first thing, I'm going to pull up my reference real quick here. Boom. My goal for this part is to take someone in my group's work and kind of parse out exactly all the shapes and the volumetric aspect of it so I can get that into Maya to 3D model. So we're going to do a little sketching here. Now they have kind of a softer, larger brush. Boom, boom. I've chosen poorly on the brush front. How's the black smudge look? Terrible. Good. Big pull? Well, okay. I'll tell you what, let's lower the opacity. Then we can just chunk in some nice lines here. We'll get the flow down a little bit as well. Even a little less. And we'll up the opacity. I like that. Whew. Alright, wish me luck, guys. Lower that down to here. So one thing to know about this project is that it's going to be kind of off a tree. And typically trees have some sort of like round, owie, crunchy connection point here. You know how they get kind of gnarly and weird? That happens. Just a fact of life. That's a bit too tight. But we're gonna come and just do a little bit of gestural stuff. This is, oh, what's his name? I listen to him all the time. It is definitely adorable. He does an a cappella cover of a bunch of video game music. And Smooth McGroove, there it is. Smooth McGroove. And he does a cappella covers that he writes. Oops, here we go. He writes he composes the a cappella coordination and then does like all 9 parts himself. It's pretty sweet. If you haven't run into him, I might need to link his page actually. I think that would be something I'd like to do. Don't know why M, but that's fine. And I forgot to turn this little guy on. Yes. Make changes. Okay. Thank you, Snip. Snip, snip, snap. Is that working now? I don't think it's working. Oh, that's why. I've been wondering about this for a while. There we go. Now I got that all working. And we'll just take off this query here and drop that into the link. Boom. Okay, that works. Good. Back to the drawing. So now I've got kind of all these shapes in. We're going to zoom in, do a little rotatey rotate. And one thing I'm not quite satisfied with is I want this sort of shape even more extreme, where we've got the real big belly thing going on down here. Yeah, that's better. That's what you like to see. big belly. And then the strong back. Okay. Belly up, belly up, belly up, belly up, belly up, belly up, belly up. And it's a lot more work to get the shapes on the page, but they also keep me from doing one strong mistake. So it's a bit of a two-way give and take on this one. They do start to condense together in this area. Which is fine. Totally fine. Okay. Yo, 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 tacos in the house! How's it going, dude? Everyone's dude, by the way. Just know that now. Everyone is dude. I am a full-blown California boy. And so I have the right to call everyone dude. Insofar as I have the right to do anything. How you doing today? What you doing? I am working on a sort of plant thing. And I have already mucked up things a smidge a little. So we're just gonna deal with our mistake by not admitting we made a mistake. So I'm doing a tree pod that will eventually glow. And this is another piece of the project that somebody else made some concept art about, and I'm trying to redraw it. And the goal of that is just to have a better understanding of what the 3D model is going to be like. And this is sort of my take on it, right? And this is going to help me understand the volume of the object better. I didn't do this on the bug, partly because there's a lot of moving parts on the bug. And I was feeling very lazy and impatient. I wanted to get on stream. But this is something nice to do once in a while, to really carve in the shapes of what you're going to be working on. And for me, I'm focusing on the three-dimensionality of it. So what you'll see in a second here is I'm going to bring this secondary line down here, kind of like so. And that's going to give us this light-facing ridge and this back-facing plane. So this is all going to be kind of shaded and darker. And I want to make sure I get this notion of it thickening as it goes up, because that's typically how these things work. There we go. And we're just blocking it right now, because like I said, this is not going to be a final... It doesn't get me a final draft or anything. What happened to the Gangsta Firefly? Oh, he's hanging around. He's taking a breather for another day. I'm going to submit that back to the group and see what they say, and then do some refining of individual shapes, and then we'll come back to him. That refining will hopefully be done on stream, and we'll just indicate that there's a little something there. So don't you worry your head about it. He'll be back. Let's see. And that'll be a trend on this channel. I'll spend a day working on a project, and then it'll sort of take a back seat for a while I make progress on another piece. Yeah, that'll do us. That'll do it right there. Oh, it's just a group from the school I used to go to. They're working on a project, and I got invited to sort of tackle a couple pieces of it and be a mentor. Bit of a third-party authority of sorts. So I'm providing mostly advice at this point, but it gives me a good excuse to practice my various chops and to provide a little bit of relief to their very ambitious team. How are we doing with this? I think I'm gonna have to draw 2 layers of these because I don't think one layer is going to have the same effect that I want. So we're gonna have to have 2 or 3. We might have to do a bunch of rows all in here. We'll probably use a mesh network on this interior shape here to place these. What might be planes? Maybe? How does it look like cream? Everything looks like cream to you right now. Yeah, we'll go with that. And if everything goes well, hopefully we'll get to show you the end result at some point here. But it's going to be at least a month and a half out, I think, is the notion we have right now. In the meantime, I'll be doing smaller projects like later tonight. The side view. I don't think you see it yet. This is a very small component of the tree. If you're curious about it, Ignis. 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 But it's a very kind of essential moment, and so I wanted to get some art direction on it early. Oh, you thought it was from a bird's eye view. Oh, I see. Yeah, this is definitely... It's the image I'm looking at, you know, I think you know which one I'm looking at, but it's both a side profile and a top-down view. It's very strange. So that's part of what I'm looking to clean up right now. Is to make some sense of it three-dimensionally. But it does a great job of imparting a lot of the textural qualities and the structural qualities. And that part is one less thing for me to think about, which I adore, and a piece of concept art. And this last part's getting a little sad. Okay, that's good enough. Okie dokie. So I'm going to do a quick pass of cleanup, and I'm going to soften this eraser up a little bit. Get that to about 50% hardness or so. Again, just chunking, taking chunks of material out here. Not married to the drawing. What y'all up to tonight? Making any progress, Ignis? That softness actually can be even lower. That's better. I feel better about that. Whoop. And we might go back in, put some texture back on top of these, just for the aesthetics of it, you know? Still fresher than my modeling? Yeah, that sounds about right. Just gonna go through in this little rotatey bit here. Make it very clear what's going on. By very clear, I mean mildly more clear. We're gonna have to go back in and actually do some shading with that same tool as before. Oh, wow, I obliterated all that. There we go. Okay, okay. Rotate. So the other project I'm going to work on, while I'm sort of wrapping up this part of this, is an additional kind of waiting screen element while I'm taking a small break. I'd like to do a bit of motion graphics work that I haven't done in a little while. Yeah, it's looking a little better. And tackle a coffee pot that's brewing a conveyor belt kind of situation of coffees. Yes, that's the word. Brewing a bunch of coffees and then like squirting a bunch of coffee into a conveyor belt and have an endless loop. So that's the goal, just to block out that animation basically before I head into. Yes, I like this. I like that. Before I go into After Effects or Maya, I just want to take care of those little bits and figure out what I'm actually going to be doing. Simply because it's much harder to actually it's much harder to think and talk at the same time. Making some decent progress here, though. So in my mind, these are all rounded teeth, soft teeth things. Hey, how you doing, dude? Thanks for coming out. How's it going? Whee! Womp, womp, womp. I'm kind of taking some liberties with the reference drawing I found in the group area. I'm trying to interpret some of it. Hopefully they don't get too upset with me. Didn't exactly ask permission. The goal is not to make the final piece. The goal is to find out what the lighting can look like and to find out the issues that are going to come up in terms of translating the concept art before we try to make the final thing. So in a lot of ways, not asking permission is sort of beneficial. You're working on some modeling stuff. All right, dude. Looking forward to seeing that. Oh, yeah. All right. I'm pretty good. Got clean teeth. Makes me happy. All right, that's enough for me to imagine them as 3D objects. And I'm going to go back in with the same brush with a little more opacity and just, ooh, no, actually, we'll keep it low like that. And I'm going to cut in a couple background elements. And they're just going to be kind of ghosts, because they're not the important ones. They're not what is imminently about to interact with you in any kind of way. Now, this isn't what's shown in the original drawing, and this is where I'm departing in a big way But I think in 3D we're going to need more of these fruit-like bits, whatever they're going to be, in order to fill in the space. I'm going to post that in Unity. Oh, put that in Unity. Well, like... Oh! Let's see. I don't know. Mostly I'm going to put it in the group page and sort of talk about some of the struggles that I had getting even to that point. And I don't think I'm going to put it in Unity. We could. It'd be fine. I just wouldn't do much. At some point I am going to go back and revise it a bit on stream, and then we're definitely going to rig it. That's going to be a heck of a stream. There may be cursing involved. But I've had pretty good luck with my rigging lately, so hopefully that will all just kind of fall into place. I didn't want to rig it before it was mostly complete, because that undoes a lot of the progress that you make. Can dream, right? Okay, I'm liking that better. And now I am going to go in and just kind of give them all a quick wash to make them fade into the background even a little bit more. Now, Aggie, I know, been talking about learning Photoshop for drawing purposes, and this is a good example of some sort of painterly approach to it. I don't usually do this, but for mocking things up, it's pretty nice. More of an illustrator at heart, but I got this brush. It is the Kyle's, it's in the Kyle pack. You can get that for free from Adobe. And it's the Big Pull 30. And one thing I like about it is its flat nature and its streaky nature. Also, when you put it down to opacity of like 29% and 27%, it really gives you a way to build up and get some opacity layered on top of each other. And I'm really enjoying it for this purpose. And I think that'll be something you can use going forward. There we go. Almost done here, guys. Just gonna figure this stuff out. I think that'll do it, actually. That's much better. Okay, so now I do see these all as fairly soft items because of their like folding nature and stuff like that. So that's gonna be interesting to try to model. And I say interesting with all the love in the world, but it really is gonna be a pain in the butt. So the next thing to work on, I'm gonna go into a new layer here, is these geometric balls. I think they're supposed to be sort of crystalline. So, and they're emitting light. That's the other key thing. And I'd like to nestle them down into here. Now, because these are much more geometric, I'm going to take 2 passes at this. I'm going to settle them in place. And then on a second layer, I'm going to take a harder brush and outline them. Because I want them to be very, I guess, distinct is the right word, from their surroundings. And they're about, what's the size I'm going for here? About yay big. Okay. About that large. Okay, so let's do this thing. So, start here, like that. I'm just gonna build in some triangles as best I can into this whole thing. And we're just gonna kind of keep moving and hope and pray that somehow we end up with something that looks like something. I don't think it's going to happen easily, so we're just gonna run with it. It's definitely not going to be a regular convex shape or anything like that. Mathematicians will be very upset with me. But I can live with that, and I can live with that. So this one's going to be up a bit. It was talked about they could be more liquid as well, because they were pretty solid in the art. More liquid, oh. See, liquid is the enemy of modeling, so I'm going to ignore that for now. Definitely something to think about. And one thing we can try is if we get these to a high poly, we can use soft select to sort of melt them, fudge the melting a little bit, and then we can build in some separate models that might look like melted stuff and make them similar vibe. But for anything that's going to like unwrap and move, they need to be solid, because you don't even want to try doing special effects particle simulations. I don't know. We could try that. We could make it a small scale thing. It might be okay. It's not the point. Point is, I'm allowed to take liberties, I think is the general idea here. They don't have to be strictly crystalline. All right, my goal is just to nestle this down in here at this point. I want it to be known. I want it to be known that these shapes are in fact down in here. That's getting a little chunk there. All right. yeah. All the little noises. I don't think I'm going to like it, but I'm going to allow some of these more D4-like objects to exist for a little while here. So we're going to get some pyramidal prisms going on. Because that's another option, is to not have regular shapes. And even if they're all solid, at least they're all organically defined. And I was thinking about this the other day, the butt on the bug, I should have just started with a dodecahedron primitive and then just figured out how to move over and connect it to the rest of the body. That would have been a good move. Clearly I'm a little rusty. We'll get back into it though. That's good enough for now. I'm gonna go back over some of these lines, get them nice and tight. Yeah, it's getting there. Okay. I'm getting impatient. I'm getting very impatient with this process. So what I'm going to do is turn down the opacity of this layer, just use that as a bit of a reference. Grab my inking brush and just go ham. That's too thick. We'll go down to about 7. That'll do. Okay. Wish me luck. I'm just going to draw in some geometry. We'll have it go off like that, and like that. We'll have the top there, and we'll get a square going here with a line going across. Do the same thing on this side. And we'll need to do something similar down here. That peeking out. Good enough to start with. Hey! Got Karen in the house. How you doing, buddy? Welcome back to the stream. We're attempting to model in some gooberness. And we'll see how it goes. I'm not thinking particularly hard about how I am setting up these triangles. So I might get myself into a couple bad situations, but so far I haven't gotten anywhere I can't quite get myself out of yet. I will add another piece there. Another one there, another one there, and then that goes up there. Okay, that's fine. I'll go with that. See some dope fruit? There you go. Give myself a little coffee break here. That is the dope fruit in its glory for the moment. Okay. Back in it. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Got a bunch of... Let's redo that. A bunch of regular polygons that we're trying to accomplish here. And without having access to the numbers that go with them, it makes it very challenging to make anything that looks realistic. So we're just not going to try to make anything that looks realistic and instead rely on some Gestalt theories to sort of give us the impression that something is supposed to be there. And that's called hiding your crimes. Ding! I think what I'm going to do is add another layer on top, and as I go, I'm going to add some light grays to brighten up all these spaces, and I'm going to go back to my other brush for that. I really quite like how that one was turning out. Big pole 30. There's my buddy. It's too big. Your pole's too big, my friend. Smaller. Okay. It's a little too bright. A little too big. There we go. And all I want to do is color by numbers. That's all I'm going to be doing here. Because this interior fruit, which is a very strange thing to have to say, is supposed to be emitting some light. And I just want to get some notion of that going on here. We will be getting to modeling a little later here, though, where I do a first draft of this stuff. And hopefully that'll work out pretty well. I think one thing we're going to try and probably fail at is setting up an Arnold mesh light. I really don't expect that to go very well because Arnold mesh light never goes well, but we're going to give it the old college try. Especially because there's so many fruits to deal with here. Arnold is going to have a real bad time trying to get that working. So we're going to try to be business buzzword McGee and break things fast. Okay, being a little too precious about this. All right, let's take a quick look-see here and see what we're feeling. That's feeling more nested, definitely. And once I get some highlights on some of these toothier looking bits from these lights, they're going to feel part of the scene a bit better. I think we're going to add another layer on top of all that for that part. And the mound is supposed to go kind of up to here. No, not even higher. Basically, it's all in this area. Joyously bountiful kind of up there, and all up in this area too. So we're going to do that all in 3D. I don't feel like drawing it all, but I do want to add some more light information on here. So we're going to do that by adding it here. Okay. We'll just go ahead and use that same brush, but we're going to turn the opacity way down. So let's just assume only these ones for now. Okay, that's a good start. And I'm going to get some... I think I'm going to have to be very careful about how I apply this, so I need a different brush. I really like what that's doing, but... Oh, that's going to be nice. That'll be nice. Turn that size down a little bit. And we'll just cut in some lighting back here. Especially on these areas over here. And it's not going to look realistic or anything. It's not the point. The point is mostly just to get some ideas going here, you know? And on these ones, I think it would probably behoove me to have a bit more action going on here. I don't really understand how this brush decides where it's going to paint. It seems like it's just offset a little up. So I just can't trust the brush to do what I think it's going to do. That's too much. It's slightly better. I think maybe less opacity will help me out here as well. That's the ticket. That's what I should have been doing this whole time. That's okay. Live and learn. This is looking kind of garbo now, isn't it? These ones are okay. These ones up here are really looking pretty bad, so I'm gonna try that again. And we'll increase the opacity just a little bit. And we'll just go around. Not trusting our brush. And then for over here, this is going to start hitting, and we'll get some shiny glare happening here, along with the sides here. It's going to be important to get some of these highlights there too. Hey, what's going on, dude? Had a question? Get some highlights going on there, just to differentiate it a little bit from everything else. Let's call that part good and move on. What's up, Taco? Every time I open Maya, the option B, don't know what it's called, is activated, and a tip to disable it. Well, that's called soft select. I'm not sure why it would be on every time you turn it on. Just to make sure it is soft select, when you select a mesh's components, do you get this heat map effect kind of thing going on? Or is it something entirely different? Soft select, got it. Let's see. Usually your modeling toolkit, if you're in 2017 or later, I think, the soft selection is in there, along with some other places, but that's a place people like to go for it. I think if you go in there and you turn it off, it should not be on when you turn it back on, but I don't know a good way to like turn it off from the beginning. It should be off from the beginning. Oh, here, I'll just drag the window down here. It'll be a little easier. Here we go. Okay. Oh, boy. I just put everything down by that wiggle. Get that up there, get that up there. Okay. There we go. So, I'm going to get my space back to normal here. So let's get a mesh of some kind, and then we'll just, oop. So, let's say we're doing some selections like that. We press B, we get some soft select, not what we want. Of course, you can always just press B and turn it off. That's fine. Alternatively, if you go over here, there's something called the modeling toolkit. It's also in the Windows area under general editors, I think. Maybe it's under modeling editors. Yeah, under modeling editors instead. You can also click modeling toolkit in case it's not there. And up here, there you can see the drop down for soft select. Make sure it's actually showing up on stream. Okay, good. So you can just deselect that. Okay. So we have a vertex selected, right? In order to turn off soft selection, we can either press B on the keyboard, the window thing. Got it. Okay. So if you go up to Windows, Modeling Editor, and then Modeling Toolkit. Now I'll leave that on screen for a couple seconds here. You let me know when you're ready, okay? Modeling Toolkit is the thing that has a bunch of nice features for modeling with. Cool. Did it. Got it. So that'll open up over here or in its own window. Doesn't matter which way, it's fine. I keep it docked over here because I like to use some of its features. First, it's going to look like this tiny drop down. It's going to say soft selection. And there's a checkbox down here that hopefully, if you turn it off this way, it shouldn't automatically turn on every time, but I can't guarantee that. So, here's hoping. Failing that, you can reset your preferences, but that's a whole shebang I can't get into right now, and I don't really recommend it, but I know it's annoying. As a temporary fix, you can always just press B. But, okay. Sorry about that. I don't know why it would automatically turn on. Maybe, let's check out our tool settings here. One thing you can try is if it's on automatically on your tools, try going through your tools and resetting them. So I got to it by this docked bar over here. There's a thing called tool settings. Oh yeah, no kidding. That would be infuriating. So if you've got, let's do the translate tool. We'll just click it over here. Or you can press W. And then go into the tool settings, which is under the Windows General Editors and Tool Settings. Leave that on screen for a couple more seconds here. That'll also open up the window that you need. So if you press Reset Tool, you notice, well, maybe we're looking at the exact second I did it, but it changed these values. And oftentimes, if you're having any issue in Maya, especially with a major tool, if you just reset its value, it should clear it up for the most part. It's not a foolproof plan, but honestly, most of the errors I get in Maya are from tools being on some wacko setting. and just need a quick reset. Yes, Windows, General Editors, and then Tool Settings. I'll just get some more coffee real quick. Gotta correct the posture. Yes. And then while this is open, you can go ahead and select any of your tools, the transform, the rotate, or the scale, or anything really. And this will give you all the preferences for that tool. Pretty sure you can also just double click the tool. Yeah. You're very welcome. Hopefully that settles any issues, because the tool settings are persistent between turn off and turn on. So that would be my guess where it got turned on. All right, I want to get back to the other thing. I hope that helps you somehow. Oh no, my desktop, my bare desktop. Oh, little thing there. Okay, dokie. So I need to get back and do some rendering on the rest of these leaves. That's what I was doing. On these guys, and then down here as well. And this is not going to be any great piece of art or anything. I know I'm reiterating that a lot, but partly it's because I need to remind myself not to be particularly precious with this. Yes, we're spending some time rendering it out, but it's part of an exercise more than anything. I'll leave those ones alone for now. I can't quite imagine how they would be. And we'll start to just get these guys going. And I think we're going to start seeing more into here again, but lighter. And we'll just do some fun little strokes like that. Happy trees. All right. Let's go ahead and see how that's doing. Kind of crummy. We're going to live with it, though. And then we'll come back and do some over here. Get that going. Thank you, Bob Ross. I needed that. Oh yeah, you'll find I fall into Bob Ross habits a lot on this channel. It's okay. Don't even worry your head about it. Ding. All right. So let's go ahead and increase the brush size. I'm going to make the brush less. Okay, can't control it there. Let's try it here. Will. They have disabled that entirely. That's cool. All right, tell you what, we're going to make liberal use of light passes and then smudge tool later. So I want somehow that to be a thing. I want to build up this white light area. Make that a touch smaller. And that's going to go right to the edge here. All along. We'll just keep building it up. Keep building it up. And with all the mist strokes that I do, I get a little bit more of an accurate picture of what this thing should be like. Because light doesn't care what you want it to do. It just do. It just do, my friends. Don't get caught up in what you think light should do. It just do. Smirsh, 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 smirsh. Alright. Okay. I'm going to swap back over, and we're going to do the opposite for down here. Shadows don't care what you want. Shadows just do. Shadows don't care. Shadows don't give two jimmies about what you want. How about 3 jimmies? No, not even 3 jimmies. There's no possible currency you could pay Shadows to do what you want. Now, partly because drawing is so much more physical than modeling, I do tend to go a little bit more insane while drawing. If you're not ready for that, I totally understand. You can always leave and come back. Oh, that caught me by surprise. Oh, I see we are in the tool now. I see. Okay, doke. Then we'll get a couple smoothing strokes here. And we'll finish off back here. Okay. Okay. So now we've got that all settled. Me every day, don't worry about it. Thank you very much. Let's get some nice smudging action going here. I don't think I want that. I think I want a, well, no, basic smudge from Kyle. That seems reasonable. We'll see in a second here. Ooh, that does do a decent job. Alright, I'll tell you what, we're going to work with it. Because I don't want to do too much smudging. I just want to even out this mess that I've made. I want the kindergartner to go away and the rest of the shapes to stay front and center. You know? I don't want this to be some oil painting. I'm going for maybe more of a pastel effect here. Maybe that's what we want. It's certainly not covering up for our mistakes down here, but it will ease the eye up here a little bit. And I don't want to blow out some of this texture that I built up painstakingly with my jibber jabber from earlier. That's gold. That's liquid gold, man. I may have been going into a speaking in tongues moment there, but I do believe that light truly doesn't do what you want it to do. It just do. It just do, my friends. Alright. There we go. And we'll do a little bit, 1 or 2 passes on each of these guys, and whoop, that blows it out. That blows it out real quick. And we'll just knock down some of these textures. Not tremendously, but just enough to make them seem intentional. Some of these areas got a little crazy. Painting light is half a guessing game. Trying to visualize where it's coming from. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is not a skill. I have totally... I'm not comfortable marketing it as a skill that I have. But it's something I've worked at for a long time, so... I'm not as bad as I used to be. That's about all I'm capable of saying. Okay. So we've got some 3D forms going now. Got a little bit of light from here, and some of that kind of weird lighting going on. What do they call that? It's not edge lighting. Rim lighting, that's the one. Excellent. Let me just do a little more down here. Can't help myself. Okay. Now, the only thing I really haven't dealt with is this branch up here. I don't know if we're gonna have a similar situation for Mr. Branchy Branch here, where we do some rounding or what we're gonna do. But I do feel like I've gotten to the point where I understand basically the forms that are gonna happen. We're gonna have this round contour here. This is on a separate layer, by the way. We're gonna have these guys rounded like so. There's gonna be 2 layers. I'm just gonna point to that second layer there. These guys will be nestled between the 2 layers. We'll just do a couple more rounds at this. Yes. Which means that there should be a bit more lighting right here catching. And I've gotten close to that, so I won't bother actually doing it, but this part here is going to be tricky. It really ought to be a little closer in. And so I'm going to go like that. And we'll get some... That's not quite working out the way I'd hoped it would. I'll leave those 2 off. But at least this point here will tell me that I've got 2 differing planes, so I'll stick with that for now. Okay, so what are some of the things we've got here? We've got soft pillars, right? Okay, we've got semi-rigid dodecahedrons, or D10s, D20s. Semi-rigid. D20s. Okay. Got some sort of abstract bark. We might just paint that on. And I think, oh, that's right, I have lost my reference here. Here we go. So these need to be a little longer, probably. We're gonna stick with what we have now. And it's got like a banana leaf kind of situation going in the reference image. I've gone with something a bit more scaly. I don't quite know what I want to do with that. I think we'll do bark on the outside and then a sort of more shimmery, air quote, interior here. So we'll go slick shimmer, right? Bark. I think we'll go with that. And I think we'll just share the texture from here to here. I think that'll be good. Okay. Feel pretty good about that. Just realized I haven't actually saved, so that's cool. Let's go ahead and do that. Dear God. Let's go into my source images, actually. That'll be good. Leaf thing. Just leaf thing. Go with that. Okay. Oh, lordy loo. So I'm going to open up a new file. Go with the same situation here. Any day now, Photoshop. That's fine. And I want to quickly rough out something in a similar vein of detail. Well, not detailedness. This is going to be much less well thought out. Because it's meant just to be kind of a fun thing. That'll do. Turn that down, turn that down. Even less, even less. There we go. And this is going to get saved in actually a new folder, which is going to be for my motion graphics. So MoGraph. Boom. And then in here, you get to see a little behind the scenes in folder management, everyone's favorite thing to do. So in MoGraph, we're going to have some source. What are we going to call this? Yeah, no, that's going to be that's something else. Reference. Perfect. Okay. And then this is going to be coffee conveyor. Coffee conveyor waiting screen. There we go. So first things first, I want some lighter gray for this part. No, there's an idea. I'm going to actually make a whole new layer right on top of that. So let's say we rotate the canvas like so. And go boop. No, more extreme, more extreme. Boop. We'll rotate a little bit this way. Go boop. Rotate a little bit this way. Go boop. Rotate a little more this way. Go boop. Rotate a little more this way. Go boop. Okay. All right. I guess we're started with that. That's a thing. And let's move on to the other sketch pencil. Don't really care too much about what that looks like. That's fine. So on this layer, we're going to make the coffee machine, and I think it's going to be like an industrial coffee machine, or better yet, one of those robo arms that's like holding a coffee machine in between two grippy things, right? And we'll get our coffee, Mr. Coffee situation bowl going here. That funnels down to there. I don't know why I remember a Mr. Coffee machine so vividly. When I moved out for college a long time ago, I had one, and it was my first coffee maker. And it was not great, but it did give me coffee. And I'm taking liberties with the shape of the carafe here. Really, it's just straight, bulgy bottom, and then it kind of goes up like this. It was glass. Get a little kind of thing like that. And this is just going to be holding on to the very back, where this connects up to a rectangular basin for some of the water storage, which is its connecting elements all the way down here. Wee. 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 Okay, so that connects all the way down past there, like so. And then we'll get some beefy grabbers here. And we'll just do a chunk thing there. I don't know. I haven't quite figured out the shapes for these grippers yet, but I do know I want this sort of ominous presence. This bulging joint back here, along with a smaller, more finessey joint. And it's going to be straight on. It makes it very easy. And they'll sort of connect back up to this arm here. Which will have the rotatey bit there, and shunk. I'm just going to draw in this plane. We're almost done with that portion. Okay, get ourselves a new layer here. Whew. Save. So we're going to have one at a time, and it's going to have a kind of a rough stop and go motion. So I'm going to try and draw a little cup and get some rocking lines around it to indicate like it's going to have a little bit of secondary motion going on. We'll give that a shot here. So I want it to be sort of in the middle, right here. Okay. So if I go up from there, yeah, we could just move that over a little bit like that. And we'll have a fairly traditional cup design. Not bad, not bad, not great. Not bad, not great. Oh. Hap. 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 And I'm gonna figure out this sort of handle thing here. Handle thing. There's that. Okay, and it has to have a saucer. Wouldn't be a fancy conveyor belt without a saucer. And I'm thinking maybe it's like conveyor belt sushi, but for coffee. And so maybe there's like a crowd in the background. We got the little impression of a coffee divot right down here, right? We can erase these lines a little bit. There we go. There. That's a good impression at least. Okay. So maybe down here we have another layer where everyone is chilling in the background. Usually on the conveyor belt sushi, this robot arm really won't be able to factor into the conveyor belt sushi aspect of it. I have to admit that. But we could have some tables back here, right? Just some strong tables. Just some strong tables. The strongest. And get the boothy booths going here. The weirdly uncomfortable, overly padded boothy booths that are like right too close. You end up with your face, your beer gut just under the tabletop. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. Elbows should just go a little beneath the table. It's just horrendously uncomfortable. So you're resting on the table edge. Oh, gotta love it. Gotta love those terrible booths. Your legs getting caught on this bar here because it's just the perfect, you know. Yeah, we'll go a little lower. Anyway, then they've got like the just over the head height wall situation. Maybe there's some like frosted glass back there, so there's a secondary thing going on. Don't need to work too hard at this one, I have to admit. But it does go like a million years up above your head. So we're gonna get that. We'll get this whole sitch handled there. Okay, moving back. I'm gonna do a whole new layer on top of the coffee here. And this is where the coffee diarrhea begins. So I want this to be really aggressive. So there needs to be splatter. A million years above your head. That's a big mood. Here we go. Let's get some droplets shooting out of here, right? There we go. And then some really aggressive thin line up here. We need the thin line here that does this and then begins disintegrating down here under its own pressure into the sides of the cups. Get some. And we'll get a main interior line here. So at least we have a continuation. And it sort of bisects into a bunch of things. I've never been particularly good at these like motion lines. It's something I've always wanted to really work on, but I've never found any good resources for it. It's always just been something people have done, you know? Just part and parcel. Yeah. Yeah, that seems good. I'll grab this guy. Oops. What'd I do? What? Really? Okay. That's fine. And we'll just rotate this guy just a smidge-a-rooney. No, that was terrible. So that needs to be in the center of the conveyor belt-ish. About like that. Oh, I've been making layers. Oh. Whoops-a-doodle. Okay. So then just grab this layer here and move it down a little bit, maybe even a little more. I want that to follow that arcing action, you know? These guys really ought to be like that. This guy needs to be closer. I want the spacing to be even here too. That's good enough for now. That's good enough for now. And they're going to be moving from left to right. So on this last copy, I need to pop in here and just indicate some liquid. I don't know what those were about, but that's fine. There. Leave it. It's done. We got some Riddler coffee there. Okay. So this is the gist, I think, of the idea for the motion graphics thing I'm going to work on later. So I'm almost certainly going to leave out the robot arm. I think that just has to go away. And instead I'm going to have like a, I don't know, a funnel. I'll probably have some sort of funnel idea, channeling grounds into this like bean holster situation, right? And then I'll just kind of go feed into there. It's fine. It's whatever. And then if we have a bunch of extra time, we feel like having fun, we'll introduce this whole background scene. So, yeah, I guess we'll see how that goes. I don't know. Might have to tweak around and see if it's better just to have like a direct system. The carafe, I think, is what helps sell this coffee. And I like the idea of the carafe having kind of a spurt at the bottom. I don't know. We'll see. We'll come back to it. We'll talk about it some more. For now, I think it's just about time for a break. And then we'll get into some modeling. So let's bring up what we're going to be working on next. It's this one. What a difference. Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. There'll be a lot of illustrated work to get that where I want it to be. So we'll be working on this in modeling in Maya next, and that's gonna require a little bit of jiggering on my part to get ready for. So I'm gonna take a small break. I'm gonna get some more coffee or something, and then yeah. So see you in a bit.